day. This is Richard Wexler, and this is Caring in America, the podcast for caregivers and care recipients. And folks, we have a very special guest with us today, Bryan Devore. He's a senior real estate specialist in San Diego, California. And what we're going to be talking about is something that Bryan has created and I have created, starting with him, and that's Senior Spaces. So first, welcome, Bryan.
Thank you very much for Richard for having me.
Sure. So my usual question to you, how is your horrible weather in San Diego?
It's terrible today. I'm not sure if it's going to hit 70, but it's close. It'll probably be at 68, 69 degrees.
Okay, don't write it. So do the audience a favor. We've been talking about Senior Spaces as you have for a while. And if I think I'm right, this was an idea that you had years ago that's grown to where it is now. But take the audience back a few years. And what was your initial idea?
So I am, as you mentioned, a seniors real estate specialist. So I specialize in helping seniors sell their homes and downsize to a smaller home or to senior living communities. And one day I was walking through a senior community. This was probably 8 years ago. And I said to myself, if more people knew what senior living was truly about, they might take a look at it and take advantage of it. But too many people, I think, feel that senior living is convalescent home like my great-grandparents lived in, and the food is day-old soup and saltine crackers. And so people don't even look at them. So I said, why don't I make a TV show about the work I do and make it kind of fun and educational at the same time? People can't help but learn. So I made a couple episodes of that show as a half-hour show. And then I wanted to make more. COVID hit, so that didn't happen. And finally, the timing worked out where I met another TV producer who does reality shows. He's won 3 Emmys. And I talked to him about the idea. He said, yeah, let's do this. And so that was a year ago. We did a casting call and we changed the format a little bit of the show where I guide a couple through the decisions of how they're going to live that next chapter of life. Are they going to age in place in their current home? Are they going to downsize into a smaller home, or are they going to move to senior living? And so we walk them through the options, explore resources, and then they make their big decision of which way they're going to go. And then we give them the resources to help them get there. And it's been a lot of fun. And the show just premiered nationwide through cable and streaming and on YouTube.
That is fantastic. And you call it Senior Spaces.
Yeah.
So do you mind talking a little bit about this couple that you had in those first episode? You said you met them through a casting call. Can you give a little more information about them? You don't have to say what their final decision was, but kind of what your thought process was, because I want to kind of take from that and then talk about the home team in a few minutes. But what was your thought process when you were sitting with them, filming and talking to them?
Good question. We did a casting call at it's San Diego Oasis. Oasis is a national organization. They have locations. I call it a senior center on steroids. They have tons of classes and tons of programming for seniors. And I wanted to do the casting call there. We advertised it out to the public and through the Oasis catalog. One of the people who came to the casting call was Rick of Rick and Mary, who are in the show. And I loved Rick right off the bat. 77 years old. He's got a ponytail. Super cool guy. 2 bad knees, 2 bad hips, and kind of exploring, okay, what's that next chapter going to look like? Because he's maintaining the home all by himself. Maybe he doesn't want to do that anymore. He loves his home, but is it too much? And he wanted to tell his story to us. And then we talked about the show. He loved the idea. He said, great. Yeah, this would be awesome. Let's sign up. I said, awesome. When can we talk to your wife? Why do you need to talk to her? Well, she needs to be on the show. No, she's not going to want to be on the show. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
that's going to be a problem. We talked to her. The producer and I did a Zoom with her. We convinced her to do it. And I think she had more fun than he did.
Oh,
We had their son Lucas on the show to talk about his feelings about their next chapter and what that's going to look like. And it really brought out their situation, brought out a lot of what we wanted to discuss in the show. A lot of the different options that people have, a lot of the resources that people have no clue even exist. And I know we'll talk about that with the home teams, either because they don't want to know about it or they just haven't had the opportunity to learn about it. So we really used this platform to tell their story, and I think it came out really good.
no, and I've seen it, folks. I mean, it's excellent. Brian does a fantastic job. I think Rick and Mary, they're extremely nice. And I think you're going to really enjoy it when you see the episode. Again, it is available currently on YouTube if you're not in one of the markets where it's actually on TV. But let me ask you a question, and this will kind of lead to the home team as well. And I kind of got this impression when I watched it, and you can kind of fill in the blanks. Do you think they really understood? He, if I recall, is late 70s, and I think she's like late 60s. Do you think he really had a comprehensive conversation about this and really understood not only where they were going with the home, but other areas that may be affecting their life as they age?
I know for a fact they did not. When we started talking about some of the things that are available for them, whether it's ways to finance remodeling their home or whether it was their estate plan, they didn't really have knowledge about these things. And it was very gratifying to see their eyes open when we discussed these things with them. And they said, we're so glad that we reached out for the casting call and did the show because now we know a lot more. And there's a lot more stories to tell because there's a lot of people out there who need these resources who have no clue that they do. And even if they did know they needed them, how do they get them? And so we're going to be able to really connect the resources with the people who need them the most. And Rick and Mary did a great job of I think, telling that story.
I think you're right. And they did an excellent job. And so, folks, back up a few months when I've known Brian probably 3 years or so ago, we met and we started talking about this. And I tell people that some sparks in this old bald head went off when he brought this whole idea up of senior spaces because it really parlayed into what I've been doing from an education standpoint all across the country for the last 20 years. I talk about this family conversation that it sounds like Rick and Mary really had not had within their family. And unfortunately, folks, we find that about 99% of families, including my wife and I, when this started in our life 20 years ago, have never had this conversation. What do I mean? Well, when you're a homeowner, yes, it starts with the home. As Brian says, you want to fix it up? You want to stay there? Do you want to bring care in if that is needed at some point? Do you want to fix it up, move, and maybe use those proceeds to go to senior living? And okay, we can start with that, but then people have to understand I talk about complexities or components. There's so many other components as we age. Brian said it. Have they done the estate plan? Is it updated? So let's make up a number, Brian. Let's say they put 500,000 in their pocket when they sell it. Do they have an estate planner, a financial planner they can work with to help them invest that money? What are they going to do with those proceeds? Or maybe a couple decides to go a little crazy on a remodel, spends a lot of their money. Now they need care and they have to figure out A, how much care costs if they are going to do it in the home or do it in senior living, and then B, figure out how they're going to finance that. So, what I've taken from Brian and what we've created called the home team, use my hands a lot, folks. They're about 10 to 12 professionals and I know this is going to sound crazy, we're building a home team in about 100 cities across the United States. Why? Because there are homeowners everywhere. And as I said, about 99% have not had this conversation. So when you watch the show, hopefully it's going to spark some things in your head like it did mine. Let's talk about the home, but let's talk about these other components. And then, as Bryan was saying, when you need the estate planner, when you need care, when you need the financial planner, when you need the realtor, and more, they're all on this home team. Guess what? In your city. And they're all trusted resources. So, when I first brought this up to you, Bryan, what were your thoughts about the home team kind of coexisting with senior faces?
When we first talked about it, it was exciting because my dream has always been to use the show as a platform to begin these conversations and to introduce people to resources. So my dream was to have the show nationwide and then to be able to provide resources for people in all the markets where the show aired. So that we have a QR code and a phone number for people to call us. Great, give us a call. We'll get you to the resources. Now, I'm a little bit of a cart before the horse kind of guy, and so I'm like, I want to do this, but do I have the infrastructure in place to provide those services, those professionals? I can get the real estate agents through our network of agents across the country, but how about all the other components? Then you just sort of magically appeared in my life at the time when I was thinking about this. I'm like, well, okay, this is the way to do it. This is exactly my vision of what I want to do. And so I was excited to be able to kind of merge them together where the show is sort of like the marketing component that exposes people to what they need to know. And then the home teams can help facilitate those resources for them.
No, and that's perfect. And folks, to help Bryan, what we're doing on our a plan to age.org site, remember the two is the number two, a plan to age.org, we're going to build a profile of every home team. So pick a city across the country. As we build the home team in that city, we're going to build a profile on the site. So when you watch the show, it's not done yet, it's coming, but when you watch the show and then potentially need a resource in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Dallas, New York City, wherever it may be, within time, you're going to find that profile right in the site. So, folks, whether you're a homeowner out there listening to this, whether you're a professional listening to this, or you're both, you're a professional that's a homeowner, if you also have interest in joining our home team in your city, I'm going to give you an email. You can always find an email, my email, which I'll make really easy for you on our site, aplan2age.org. And that email is info@aplan2age.org. Send me an email there. I'll respond to you. That'll come to my desk personally. And if you're a professional, what are we talking about? We're talking about a realtor, an estate plan, a finance estate planner, a financial planner, long-term care insurance, in-home care, a placement individual, and more. Maybe in some cities we need a care manager. Maybe we need some other professionals as well. Let's talk. I prefer a conversation over Zoom, folks, and see if it makes sense to get you on on a home team in a given city. Let's go back to Bryan. So, Bryan, we have this first episode. What's your grand plan? What do you see coming down the pipe?
So obviously I want to make more episodes because there are so many stories to tell. Maybe Rick and Mary chose one direction, but the next couple or family chooses another direction. So that's going to bring up more questions and more resources we can introduce. So I'd love to make a lot more episodes. Obviously that takes money. So I'm kind of working on that. We had some great sponsors. I call them partners because they really are partners in the show. They have commercials and some of them are in the show. but I really call them partners to help, bring these resources to light for people. I'm not looking for companies that are just looking to make a buck. I'm looking, for those partners who make a difference and do things, quote unquote, the right way. That we can do this together. It's not my show; it's our show. It's the industry show, and this is just one way to kind of further that. So if I can, keep that rolling, then yes, we'll go find another Rick and Mary, and we'll make episode 2 and keep making episodes after that.
Questions I've gotten, and this may be down the line, but at some point, would you like to put an episode together in an additional city beyond San Diego?
I think that'd be a lot of fun, and that would be something I'd like to do. I've actually talked to the producer about it. He literally this past Sunday had a baby, so he's off the market for just a little bit. Although he's looking to get out of the house pretty soon. So yeah, we would love to do that. It'd be fun to go because there's stories everywhere, right? And if I could go to a different city and meet with a couple and bring the resources in and help guide them on TV, that would be super fun. I love doing that.
So, folks, a message. Let's grow this. I think what Brian has created and then what we're tagging along with the home team, I'm going to say something pretty big here, and I truly mean it. This will definitely change aging in this country. As I have educated people all over the country for the last 20 years, I tell people we deal with life. Life is very complex. For some of us, it's even more complex, but we're also an aging nation. We have over 100 million people that are over 50. I heard a stat, and I don't know if Brian's heard this one. I heard a stat just last week that startled me. By 2030, so in 4 more years, we're going to have more people over 65 than we're going to have under 18. Let that settle in for a minute. So when I talk about changing aging, whether we really want to or not, it's really important that if you don't have a family, I understand it, but just you, talk to friends, talk to people at church, talk to your neighbors. But if you have a family, this family conversation that this show is going to start and spark is so important to think about these components as we age. And I really want to say thank you to Brian. A did a great job in this first episode, but thank you for creating this. And I think as we go through the next weeks and months and years, we're going to see this show have a dramatic effect on aging. Any
I
final
hope.
comments, Brian? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I hope you're right. And to your point, even and especially for those solo agers, as they are called, who don't have families, it's almost more important because so many of my clients who I work with, they if they haven't planned, at least they might have children who can kind of pick up the pieces sometimes. But if they don't have anyone else around, there's no one else to turn to, and that's where things go sideways fast. But if they have these resources, they know about a care manager, if they know about a fiduciary who can be responsible for their medical and financial decisions if they no longer have capacity to do so, then they're going to be much better off. So you're right. We're turning this big cruise ship in the middle of the ocean of how we think about aging, how we plan to age, as your organization is called, which I love, because that's what it is. You have to plan. You're gonna age, whether you plan for it or not. But if you plan for it, you're gonna be a lot more successful and a lot more happy, a lot happier in the long run for sure.
Thank you. I wish I had taken you on the road with me for the last 20 years. Very well said. Yeah, it's an important, very important issue. And I know for a lot of folks, again, you don't want to think about it, but it is reality. And I tell people, God bless you. You woke up this morning, you're a little bit older than you were yesterday, and God bless you. And hopefully you wake up the same way tomorrow morning. But we do need to plan. And I really encourage people, we'll make sure that we put the link when we finish this podcast episode. We put the link there for YouTube so people can find the episode and see it. There's a number that Bryan has right there in the show where you can reach out. Hopefully in the next few weeks, you can start reaching out to our website again, plantoage.org, and find resources, the home team, writing your city. So with that, Bryan, I say thank you.
Thank you.
Compliment you on all the things that you're doing. And folks, until we talk again, have yourself an awesome day.